Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna asdaqal hadithi kitab Allah wa ahsan al-hadiya hadiya Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa khayr al-umuri awazimuha wa sharr al-umuri muhdasatuha wa kullu muhdasatin bid'ah wa kullu bid'atin dalalah وكل ضلالة في النار صدق الله العظيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. My respected brothers and sisters, may Allah's peace, His guidance, His mercy and His protection be with you and your loved one in this blessed month of Ramadan. And today is the first program of the Tafsir program for Ramadan, inshallah. But we will continue with the same ayat, ayah number 178 and ayah number 179 of second chapter of Quran. Prior to the recitation of that ayah, we will use the ayah number 155 of Surah Al-An'am, which is the 6th chapter of Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, introduces Quran as what Quran is in Quran itself. And ba'da a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَهَذَا كِتَابٌ أَنزَلْنَاهُ مُبَارَكٌ فَاتَّبِعُوهُ وَاتَّقُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. And وَصَدَقَ اللَّهُ الْعَظِيمُ. And the meaning, the translation close to Arabic in English language is, and this is a blessed book, this Quran, which we have sent down to you, O people, everybody. So follow it and refrain from deliberate disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that you may receive mercy of Allah. And mercy of Allah, my respected brothers and sisters, the greatest mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, first, that He has created us. Then He has not made us quadriplegic or blind or deaf and dumb. And it does not mean that those who are blind, their hearts are not open. It doesn't mean that those who are quadriplegic have something missing on their faith. But I'm comparing ourselves, who we consider that we have all our body parts in place and everything is functioning, and that is one of the mercies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then the greatest mercy of Allah, that He has guided us. The second mercy is that Allah has given us time. And the third is the brain, the mind, to contemplate, to think that how to use the time so I can receive and achieve the greatest mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the forgiveness of Allah. That how to receive Allah's maghfirah, how to receive what to do that I should be successful in my life. And the success of life, believe me, it depends upon our understanding of what we call success, what we understand success. Having huge businesses, or 5,000 square feet house, or 10,000 square feet house, or 7 cars, that may be for some people a consideration of success, understanding of success. But success, the real success, is that you are happy with Allah and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is happy with you. That is the real success. Rest of it is all going. But when you receive Allah's mercy, after receiving His guidance and following His guidance, the greatest mercy of Allah is that you achieve His forgiveness. And inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make all of you among those who receive Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy in this blessed month of Ramadan. And just few things about Ramadan. What is Ramadan? Ramadan is a continuous education opportunity. It is a course which you take when you are at employment. They send you some kind of special courses, or you take some different continuous educational opportunity. So Ramadan is one of the continuous education opportunity that in 1 month, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us that even the halal thing like water and food, the food you like, okay? And your favorite food, even during the time, from a certain time, from dusk to dawn, from dawn to dusk, those things you cannot use. Even the halal thing. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is training us, that continuous training opportunity, that course we go through during Ramadan, it is about to prepare us for the next 11 months of the year. Lesson of Ramadan should not end at the end of Ramadan. It needs to be put in practice in the other 11 months of our year, of the year. And that in those months, we have to think that in month of Ramadan, we stopped eating and drinking or doing different things which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which are halal. You know, drinking water, drinking your favorite juice, eating food, favorite food, it's all halal. But Allah told you not to do it. So Allah during that course, made us, prepared us, trained us that to avoid the prohibitions of Allah by avoiding even the things which are allowed, permissible things, from the time in the morning to time at the dusk time, because Allah said don't do it, so we are not doing it. What about the other 11 months when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us these prohibitions, with the allowances, gave us these prohibitions, that should we break Allah's limits in other 11 months? No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has trained us, is training us. We are all going through this short course, you know, a continuous education opportunity to how to live our life in the other 11 months and enjoy food and enjoy water and enjoy all the favorite things. But in this month, it teaches you how to avoid the prohibitions of Allah, how to follow the prohibition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in other 11 months. So today's ayah, inshallah, as I mentioned, that we are going to study ayah number 178 and ayah number 179, and we will be using Tafsir as-Suddi, Tafsir al-Qurtubi, and some excerpts from Tafsir Ibn Jarir al-Tabari. So inshallah, first the recitation of these two ayat. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم القصاص في القتلى الحر بالحر والعبد بالعبد والأنثى بالأنثى فمن أوفي له من أخيه شيء فاتباع بالمعروف وأداء إليه بإحسان ذلك تخفيف من ربكم فمن اعتدى بعد ذلك فله عذاب أليم ولكم في القصاص حياة يا أولي الألباب لعلكم تتقون صدق الله العظيم. Inshallah, the translation of these two ayat in English language closer to the translation, and that is that, O you who believe, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, legal equal retribution is prescribed for you for murder victims. The free for the free, the slave for the slave, the female for the female, but whoever forgives and pardons anything from his brother, then there should be an acceptable follow-up and payment of blood money to the victims in a good manner. Means whatever you promised, you have to fulfill that promise. This is an alleviation. This is a reduction from your Lord and a mercy from him. But whosoever transgresses after that will receive a painful punishment. And then the next ayah, ayah number 179, it says that, and there is a saving of life for you in equal legal retribution. O you people of understanding, so that you may become righteous. Now inshallah, We will come to the tafsir of these ayat. First, the ayah number 178. First of all, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I'm taking the portion of the ayah where it says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykum al-qisasu fil qatla. And the meaning of that thing which we discussed earlier, that, O you who believe, equal legal retribution. Qisas means equal legal retribution is prescribed for you for murder victims. So what is qisas? So Tafsir al-Qurtubi says that qisas is one of the several form of punishment described in Islamic jurisprudence. Islamic jurisprudence means fiqh, Islamic fiqh. Some other forms of punishment are hudud, diya, and tazir, and many other things. And we don't want to go into detail of all other, but because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about qisas, so we will talk about what is qisas. Qisas means, in simple language, is retaliation and retribution equal to the crime. Equal to the crime. That is qisas. As the ayah explains, the right of qisas is not given to the government, but it is given to the victim or the victim's guardians and victim's ayahs. If he dies, if he is murdered, then his family. They have the right against the convicted murderer. When I said convicted means that yes, somebody said that so and so has killed so and so, but that crime has to be proven. Not just somebody said, okay, this happened and I know it, so there should be qisas or there should be retribution against it. No, it has to be proven in a competent court of law. It's not only murder, but it's also, the retribution is also in cases of intentional bodily injury. But qatl, the murder, there are two kinds of murder. Many kind of murder, but the first two, which is well known, is that somebody by mistake killed somebody. By accident, a person was driving car and somebody got, involved in an accident and he got killed. So that's not a murder. That's an accidental murder. The person didn't want to kill the other guy, whoever, or both people in both cars got hurt, and then they died, or one of them died. So it is not intentional. But somebody intentionally kills somebody, that is a murder. That is a murder. And qisas give the right to the ayahs. The tafsir says the ayahs and the family of the murder of the victim, life for life. They have to decide. They will be brought in the court and they will say that because this man intentionally killed my loved one, so I want him to be killed in return. Because retribution has to be equal to the extent of the crime, not more, not less. But this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the right. When we come to the other portion of the ayah, we will see that first of all, the murderer himself has to be brought to a proper legal process in a court system with full rights of defense, with production of evidence and witnesses from both sides, from the murderer's side and from the side of the victim, that this has happened. Islam accepts and recognizes and enforces the qisas, the equal retribution. Hudud means boundaries and limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hudud means boundary and limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And tazir means punishment for the laws of the state given by the judge. There is a difference. Okay? So the law of the state given by a judge, as Allah made it compulsory in Torah. The ayat of qisas are also in Torah. And in Surah Al-Ma'idah, I think it is ayah number 45, 5th chapter of Quran, ayah number 45 talks about it. According to the qisas law, the victim or victim's ayahs or legal guardians have other options also. And the other option is diya. Diya means the blood money. That they can pay the blood money, but that has to be established by the ayahs, by the guardians, by the family of the murder victim. That they would say that I will accept such and such amount as blood money for the murder of my loved one. If they decide that, nobody can force them to decide it. Nobody can force them to decide that. And the diya receiving monetary compensation or even pardoning the perpetrator, even pardoning the person. ذَلِكَ تَخْفِيفٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the option. That option, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas says in his Tafsir, Tanvir al-Miqbas fi Tafsir ibn Abbas, it talks about it and it says that option was not given to any group of people or any nation before Muhammad al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And that there is a proof of that in the ayah number 45 of 5th chapter, Surah Al-Ma'idah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, let me go to the translation so we finish this ayah because it's a long ayah. And we ordained therein in Torah for them a life for life, an eye for an eye, and a nose for a nose, ear for an ear, and tooth for a tooth. And for the wounds, equal retribution. For the wounds, if somebody got hurt and he has wounds, so equal retribution. But whosoever gives up his rights as a charity, they were given another option that they can say that I give up my right, as a charity in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It shall be an expiation from him from both sides. The murder victim side as a charity, and for the murderer's side as an expiation, because the murderer's heirs decided to just pardon this guy, forgive this guy. And whoever does not judge, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ, the ayah in Arabic is, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ. That whosoever does not judge by what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed, then those are the wrongdoers. Qisas, the equal retribution, is based on the legal principle. The qisas, the retribution, is based on the legal principle of what a person does to others should be done to him. What a person does to others should be done to him. Like somebody throws in many countries, there are a lot of ways people commit excesses, crimes against people. It does not mean that the murderer should be killed. It also does not mean, Quran provides the balance, that if a person kills somebody in a very heinous way, and just by torturing and things like that, it does not mean that the murderer need to be killed the same way. The murderer does not need to be tortured or same method are applied to kill the other person, kill the murderer. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. On the other hand, the pre-Islamic practices are still there in arrogant and discriminative societies. That people in power take the blood, revenge from the wrongdoers only, but from not only they don't take the revenge from the murderer's family, from the murderer himself, but they will go after the murderer's family, they will go after his tribe, they will go after his caste, that they will go after his religion also. That a Muslim, suppose nowadays this is what's happening. That if a Muslim, whether he is a good Muslim or bad Muslim or so-called Muslim, people recognize him as a Muslim. And if he does something wrong, and then the government just takes the whole group of people, that all Palestinians are murderers, all this and are that, all people are bad, and their blood is free for us. Now we can kill all of them because one of them did something wrong or 100 of them did something wrong. So this is a great arrogance and ignorance that somebody does something wrong and we go after the whole group, the entire nation, or the religion, the whole race, that they are this, that's why their blood is free for us. So we can punish them any way, shape or form we want. And the societies which call themselves civilized world, they are the worst one in doing that. They are the worst one of doing that. Today in those so-called civilized societies, they do not limit the punishment. They do not limit the punishment to the wrongdoers. But they kill thousands of people and bomb their cities because somebody was involved in doing something. So we are punishing. Those who do something wrong did not even come from the country which we have destroyed in the name of 9/11 or anything else. Let's talk about that. Quran puts limits on this kind of erratic criminal behavior by the people in power. Quran checks that behavior. Even somebody came to Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. This is a very famous story in you can see in Tafsir. Somebody came and he said that, "Oh, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, oh leader of the believers, one of your people, responsible people in your government, he has hurt me. He beat me up and he has hurt me." Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq told him, "Stop. Make sure you are right. If you are right, I will take the equal retribution from the employee of my government." Equal retribution. And equal retribution, qisas, is not that if a person kills somebody and cut him in several pieces, okay, you go and hang somebody else because the one who ordered that murder or one who killed that person is a fat neck, and you cannot grab him, so you grab 20 other people and put them on, slaughter them. And we hear these stories time and again, and unfortunately from Muslim rulers, the Muslim rulers. So we kill thousands of people and discriminate against millions of people of the wrongdoer's race, his ethnicity, or his religion. That is against every religion sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is against Christianity, no matter what you call yourself. That is against Judaism, and that is definitely against Islam. That ayah which I quoted earlier, ayah number 45 of Surah Al-Ma'idah, talks about it. So, however, if the murderer, you see, this is also the truth, that if the murderer, somebody goes into a school and kills 17 people, that person is not called terrorist because he is from the same ethnicity or from same religion, same color of his skin, same race. They would say he has social problem. He has psychological problem. He had a very bad childhood. But if somebody else does who is not from their race, who is not from their religion, then they would stand up against him. That is not serving the justice. That is a greater injustice than a murder of a single person. That you are wiping out entire religion. You are wiping out entire race. You are wiping out people from entire country. Ban this guy and ban that guy. Since when? Punish the one who has done something wrong. Bring him to the court. Punish him. If you are a Jew believing on Torah, if you are a Christian believing on gospel, if you are a Muslim believing on Quran, then that's what you should do. Punish the one who did the wrong thing, who is the wrongdoer, instead of punishing the entire religion, entire ethnicity, entire race of one wrongdoer or 10 wrongdoers. On the contrary, the laws of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Tafsir al-Qurtubi says, apply to all people. The laws of Allah apply to all people, especially people, those who are in power. It applies to them more rigorously because they become example for everybody to follow. He's your leader. If he can do anything wrong, then I can do it too. So it says, the contrary, the laws of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala apply to all people, regardless of prejudice, any kind of prejudice, towards the wrongdoer or towards the victim. If the victim, you find out that the victim was poor, he was, somebody, African American, beat him up, do whatever you like. That is against Quran, that is against gospel, that is against Torah. You cannot do it. And then either we stop making claim that we are Jew, we are Christian, we are Muslim, or we change our behavior and practice justice. Sahih al-Bukhari and Ad-Dar al-Qutni related that Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said, and believe me, this taking life for life, that right is not given to the government. It's not given to the judge either. According to Quran, it's not even given to the judge. It's given to the heirs or the dependents of the person who got killed. They would say it. They would say that I want equal retribution. So they will be asked, what equal retribution are you looking for? Are you looking for monetary compensation? Or are you looking for life for life? Are you going to pardon this guy in this life, but you will ask for justice on Day of Judgment? What you want? If the guy says, I pardon him here and on the Day of Judgment, then he's forgiven. If they say, no, we take a financial compensation, monetary compensation for his acts, heinous act of murder of my loved one. So they will be said, okay, you take monetary compensation. If they say, you see, there are a lot of things which community also is responsible for it. Because no matter the murderer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here used the word فَمَنْ أُفِيَ لَهُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ شَيْءٌ فَاتِّبَاءٌ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَأَدَاءٌ إِلَيْهِ بِإِحْسَانٍ ذَلِكَ تَخْفِيفٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ وَرَحْمَةٌ. That if there is a murderer, he did something wrong, and he did it by mistake, or he got angry, and he really intent, it was his intent to kill this guy or hurt this guy. Community, he still remains our brother in the community. فَمَنْ أُفِيَ لَهُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the murderer. That do not forget the leniency and tarahum, the mercy in your heart for another human being, regardless of his act. But if the people, if the dependents, the family of the victim say, no, we want life for life, then judge cannot interfere in it. Judge cannot say, no, that is too harsh. What about if we are talking about a right of murderer, what about the right of the victim? What about right of victim? He lost his life, or lost his limb, or lost both his eyes because somebody's heinous act. So we need to have a balance. So Dar Qutni said, Sahih al-Bukhari and Dar al-Qutni quoted this hadith from Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anh, that there was retaliation among the Bani Israel with no blood money. There was no diya. Just qisas, there was qisas, but there was no diya. And in this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed another provision such as pardoning, such as absolution for accepting blood money in cases of murder or serious bodily injury or loss of limb. You destroy somebody's whole life, you didn't kill him, but the guy's, his whole life is destroyed. Then what? Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas further said that the crime must be proven beyond doubt, and the victim or victim's family may demand and accept blood money. They have a right to demand blood money. Community wants to help the guy, the murderer, and he cannot afford, and they want to pay on his regard, on his behalf. Yes, come out, pay for it. Fakku raqaba. This is a debt over his head. But if the family says that no, we want life for life, then nobody can tell them don't do it, change your mind. Or they just say this is too harsh, or some social organization start picketing on the outside the court that to change this punishment. That's all is stupidity. Because this is human nature. That somebody breaks the law, the punishment of his breaking the law, violating the limits of the government's law or Allah's law, should be equal to the crime he committed. Somebody killed one person, you cannot eliminate his whole tribe. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said that on the Day of Judgment, 3 types of people will be most ill-mannered people in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Most ill-mannered people in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 1 of them is the one who killed someone other than the killer. You know, somebody sits there and orders that somebody should be killed. And then 20 people go there and kill that one person. Who is the real criminal here? The one who ordered the crime. He is the one to be hung. No, we will hang the other 20 who were stupid enough to go to listen to the order of a dictator or somebody who can pay them to go commit murder. These are mercenaries, you know, murderer for hire. There is no concept. There is no concept of such a thing in Judaism, in Christianity, and Islam. If you have a divine scripture and identify yourself with the divine scripture, you are bound by the laws of that divine scripture. Simple logic. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the one who killed someone else other than the killer himself, and the one who kills inside the Masjid al-Haram. Inside the Masjid al-Haram. And the one who acts by the blood feuds of the day of arrogance. Because in the day of arrogance, you know, if somebody kills somebody from one tribe, it's still happening in majority of the Muslim countries. That if somebody killed somebody from another tribe, now these two tribes will fight for 500 years, you know, and kill hundreds of people of each other. The sanctity of life need to be understood by these people, those who are worse than animals. Those who call themselves that we are human. We are a civil society. We are this, we are civilized people, we are doing this, we are doing that. You know, killing people, indiscriminately killing people. For the murder of one person, they say, we will revenge this one murder by 400. That is violation of the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And violation of any law. Any law. There is no law on book in any country in the world that authorizes you to go and bomb someplace and kill 1 million people because few thousand people or few hundred people or 30 people were killed. You can't go and bomb a million people and kill them. There is no law, no such thing in the book, in any book of law. Al-Qurtubi and Al-Sha'bi and Al-Qatada rahimahumullah said that the people of Jahiliyyah were excessive. They used to cross limits. When a tribe possessed might and power and a slave of theirs was killed, the other tribe would come and say that we want to take the life of one of the noble and a free man from your tribe. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Al-Hurru bil-Hurri wal-Abdu bil-Abdi wal-Untha bil-Untha. That a woman killed somebody and they come and say, we need 2 men instead of that woman. They let her go. Or because she is rich, she is from a noble family, she is her royal highness, you know, she is some kind of prince somewhere, you know, and carries a last name which is, people are scared of that last name. So they say, okay, you know, this is the woman from our family. We give you 2 of our slave servants. Go chop them off. There is no concept in any religion. That is not in Bible. That is not in Torah. That is not in Islam, in Quran. So, and it says that we will kill a free person for him even if there is a stronger tribe, a bigger tribe, and one of their servants, slave servant got killed, they would say that we don't want a slave servant from your tribe. We want, Islam gives us the concept that the one, which is, and also Torah and also Bible, the one who committed the crime should be punished, not somebody else. That is called what? That is the justice. That is the justice. That the one committed the crime should be punished. What is my fault? Or if I do something wrong and they come and take Brother Asad, I would love to do that. We must remember that only a Muslim ruler can establish Islamic jurisprudence and its punishment. Only if he personally is following the other laws of Islam. It's not that mufsideen and munafiqeen, those who are governing the Muslim countries today, they stand up and chop somebody's head off in the name of Islam. Well, you are the most corrupt person. If somebody have to be eliminated, you should be the first one to go. In all Muslim countries, this is common. You know, we talk about Jews, we talk about Christians, we talk about atheists and fire worshippers, they are doing this. Look what we are doing. And this is a practice, a common practice by Muslim governments. If the person is a minister, if the person is secretary of this and secretary of that, and a person is well connected, if he is arrested, his whole tribe will not elect this guy president or prime minister ever again. So they just bring somebody else and say, okay, you know, this guy, no, there is nobody behind him. So take him, eliminate him. Since last several centuries, and honestly, since last several centuries until today, there is no Islamic government anywhere in the world. So these people should stop using the name of Islam to eliminating their political opponent or good people of the society who are warning or teaching people how to practice Islam. You know, even in Israel, there are a lot of people, those who are standing up against the atrocities of the Zionist government. Jews are against the Zionist government's atrocities. They are protesting, but they get beaten exactly the same way like they are beating the Palestinians. So it is not that the ruler or a political force. You see, this is Tafsir al-Qurtubi or Tafsir ibn Jarir al-Tabari and Tafsir al-Suddi. These are 1,000-year-old books. They are talking about at that time these things. These things have been happening for centuries by the rich and famous. I don't call them rich and famous, the filthy rich and shameless people. Continuously for last several centuries have been destroying the faith of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not that the ruler or a political force may pick and choose Islamic law. There are several fields of Islamic law. So you say, okay, I'm only going to apply the qisas law of Islam, but in everything else I'll follow something else. That is a hypocrisy. That's a hypocrisy, and no ruler is allowed to be a hypocrite. A hypocrite cannot be a ruler. A hypocrite cannot be a ruler. But all over the world, when you see whether it is a civilized world or the second world or the third world and whatever the heck the names they call their governments or their areas, if you see, then it's led by nobody but by the hypocrites. Nobody but the munafiqeen. Almighty Allah, but by providing other alternatives in this ayah, وَلَكُمْ فِي الْقِسَاسِ حَيَاتٌ يَا أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. And before this, the beginning of the ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقِتَالُ. كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمْ means it is made compulsory for you. But when I go into detail of this ayah, we will understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us. And it says, Allah the Almighty, by providing other alternative in this ayah, shows that the qisas, that life for life, is not an obligatory thing. You have other options too. So if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam have told us, تَخَلَّقُوا بِإِخْلَاقِ اللَّهِ, the learned manners from the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what is the greatest attribute of Allah? The greatest attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is His mercy. So when we are going for qisas, we should have that mercy in our heart for the one which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about and says, فَمَنْ أُفِيَ لَهُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ شَيْئًا, that he is still remains your brother in humanity, even if he was not a Muslim. He is still your brother in humanity. He did something wrong, but he does not come out of the fold of humanity of being your brother. So if you find mercy in your heart and looking for reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you may have other options. You can take financial things from him in retaliation. You can take financial compensation, monetary compensation, or you can forgive him forever, for here and hereafter, or you can forgive him here and hold him responsible in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which will be even the worse punishment than killing him here. And the same way, the murderer has been given a right to say that, yes, I can pay, but I rather be punished here than being punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Day of Judgment. So he says, okay, life for life. There are many cases like that the murderer said that, take your revenge here. So I'll leave here, not have that on my neck. So however, if qisas is choosing, then it is obligatory to apply it. If the family of the murder victim say that no, we do not accept any compensation, we cannot forgive him, we want life for life, then judge does not have a right to change it. He has to apply what the family is asking for. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said kutiba alaykum, means it is obligatory or mandatory for you. But the entire ayah provides the option of diya, which is blood money, or takhfif. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that dhalika takhfifum min rabbikum, that to accept the relaxation or reduction of punishment, or afa, that you forgive the person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you the option of forgiving or pardoning that person. Shows that this ayah means if the dependents of the murder victim choose to go for life, then that's what goes. But if they choose to forgive, that's what goes. If they choose from financial or compensation, then that is what's going to happen, that they would receive compensation. The next part of the ayah is al-hurru bil-hurri wal-abdu bil-abdi wal-untha bil-untha. So al-hurr, in Arabic word hurr, means a free person. A free person. There used to be slavery at the time before. There used to be slavery. And unfortunately, it is still there. Slavery is still there. Most of the Muslims, or non-Muslims also, except few citizenships, quote unquote, blue passport, if those who are working in Muslim countries right now and they have come from poor countries, they know what slavery means. How people are how people are being treated. They don't get paid. Yes, they don't get paid for months. And they are very badly treated. So the slavery continues. On the other hand, in the so-called free world, the so-called free world, or what you call it, civilized world, first world, we have taken word of Allah and cut it into different worlds. This is first world, that's second world, that's third world. So on the other hand, in the so-called free world, claims that the slavery has been abolished. It's been done. It's finished. My experience working with different nationalities and different ethnicities, slavery is alive and doing well. It is thriving, and it is not abolished, but it is better organized. It is better organized. Just buy the leaders of those ethnic groups and keep rest of them as a slave. That's how it is done. And the example is, if you go to the conflict areas of Middle East, if you look at Palestine, then what you think of Mahmoud Abbas? He has been bought by those, to keep the rest of them slave, and bought this idiot. And that's how the majority of the Muslim leaders are. That's how it is being run. Slavery is well alive. Even in America, slavery if somebody thinks the African Americans are free today, no sir. The opportunities which is taken from them and put them in a corner, and how they are treated, and how many of them are locked up in the prison for minor offenses. And while those who have done the similar offensive are 10 times more or 10 times worse offense are out in 3 months. The Arabic word abd means a slave person who was bought and sold like you sell your bike. Buy a bike, sell a bike. That was the value. But at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Khulafa al-Rashidin, these people also, those who are treating expatriates like garbage, expatriate like garbage. In those countries, when Muhammad al-Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Khulafa al-Rashidin were there, the slave would refuse to leave. Slave would refuse to leave his master because the way he was treated. Zayd bin Haritha, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had a servant. And the parents came and say, whatever you want, Ya Muhammad, we will pay you compensation, financial compensation, okay? Monetary compensation, just let our son go. He said, ask him if he wants to go, take him. He refused to go. Many, many examples. That was a different time. Now the slavery is thriving, it's there, it's better organized, and you can't change it. The concept of abd in Islam, what is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? If you ask him, abduhu wa rasuluh, that he is the slave, servant of Allah, and he is his messenger. Slavery in Islam is servitude to Allah. If you are put in servitude of people, then you are a real slave. But slavery of the real slave, which is in the understanding of the others, the slavery is that, a person is in servitude and, he's been beaten, he's been badly treated, they are harsh with him, and he does not have any equal rights. No. The slavery in Islam, what was before, the slavery was that Sayyidina Bilal radiallahu anh, who was bought and sold by the pagans of Mecca. When Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, after Fath Mecca, he was appointed, Bilal was appointed as the chief of security and chief of protocol of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he was the official prayer caller of the Prophet. And he was bought and sold before Islam. Islam took people out from the slavery of mankind to put him to servitude of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that was a different kind of slavery. The Arabic word untha means woman. Untha is a woman. And free or slave, untha is a woman. So the ayah explains that when a free person kills a free person, he or she will receive the punishment. If the free person kills a free person, the one who murders somebody will receive the punishment, regardless whether he was free, whether he was slave, whether a man, whether a woman. You did a crime, you will pay for it. It's not that a man commits a crime and the punishment is given to woman, or woman does something wrong and punishment is given to one of the servants. So Islam is against Islam. It puts people back into kufr, because those were the practices of the people at the time of arrogance before Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The punishment cannot be announced. Punishment cannot be given by a ruling family, no matter what the last name is. Ruling family in our country is 100 years. They don't want to leave. They're there. They are passing out the judgments. They are passing out the punishments. The ruling family cannot do that. A tribal or a religious leader cannot use his pulpit or a judge in a kangaroo court appointed by the king, give a decision by asking the permission from the king or from somebody, can I give this judgment? That's called a kangaroo court. It cannot be done by them. It has to be done by a competent judge after the due process of law, after having the witnesses, the testimony, the admission of guilt, without pressure. Without pressure. In Muslim countries, somebody is pegged, he's been beaten to death, his nails are pulled out, and the guy says, it's better they kill me than keep pulling my nails or keep pulling my teeth out. There are so many stories. So he says, it's better for me to leave. It's better for me to admit that I did it, and then they punish him. Because the one who actually did was part of the royal family, or part of the ruler, the prime minister of the country or president of the country. It was their relative, so that's how they get out. And that's how innocent people get their head chopped off. According to Islam, all people living in the Muslim country are supposed to have equal rights, Muslim and non-Muslims. Muslims and non-Muslims. A dhimmi, the one who is paying taxes, living in a Muslim country, and he is not Muslim, he has, if somebody kills him or steals his property, and that the one who stole his property is a Muslim, that man would lose his hand, according to Quran, according to Sunnat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because all subjects, the government is responsible for their safety and their equal treatment, and they have equal rights in a Muslim government. If free or slave Muslims, well, I think we talked about it. In Surah Al-Isra, which is 17th Surah of Quran, ayah number 33, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا تقتلوا النفس التي حرم الله إلا بالحق ومن قتل مظلوما فقد جعلنا لوليه سلطانا فلا يسرف في القتل إنه كان منصورا. If we read about these things and compare it what's happening in the Muslim countries, none of these leaders are Muslims. None. And then we point finger at others. That look what's happening in America, or what's happening here, what's happening there. We should look at our countries, how the human rights are being trampled by the rulers of the country and his cronies. Ibn Masud, Sa'id ibn Musayyib, Qatada, Ibrahim al-Nakhai, Al-Hakam, Ibn Uwayna, Imam Abu Hanifa, and Sayyidina Al-Thawri rahmatullah alayhi said that Allah commanded fairness and equality, and this ayah established that regardless of free or slave, the one who murdered is killed in retaliation if the family of the murder victim is asking for it. And nobody can change that. But a group cannot be killed in retaliation of one murder. We're doing it every day. Somebody stood up. In Sunni states, countries, a Shia, and in Shia state, Sunni, if he stood up against the government, the whole Shia population is under the sword. There is no sanctity of life. The Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that relative of the one killed can demand equal retaliation or take blood money or pardon the person, but not more. Nobody can take the money, okay, and say, I'm taking money and it's done, and then send somebody else to kill the guy. That is mockery, and that is double murder. That's a major sin. The scholar said that the demanding and accepting the blood money is a retribution, and the heirs cannot demand life for life after that. If you have taken the money, you cannot say, I also want life for life. The blood money can be established without consent, can be established without the consent of the killer. He has nothing to say in it. He has done his crime. He cannot say, well, I'm not going to pay for it. He will pay for it. And especially if he can afford to pay for it. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that whoever pardons anything from his brother, then there should be an acceptable follow-up and payment to the victims in good manner. If the heirs or guardian of the victim without duress or pressure, Tafsir al-Qurtubi, decide to accept the blood money or to pardon the person, then that is the retribution of the murder, and the killer must pay with all honesty as demanded and be thankful and respectful if he gets forgiven. The word ufiya means forgive, pardon, absolved, and abandoned. If you forgive somebody, you have abandoned the right of qisas. You cannot turn around and say, well, I forgive, but I still want him to be chopped off. When the relatives without pressure forgive the murderer, they can either take the blood money and from the murderer and his family, follow up the promise and pay correctly as agreed upon, which means goodwill and good intention, ma'roof, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about it and calls it ma'roof. وَأَدَاءٌ إِلَيْهِ بِإِحْسَانٍ. Then it says that the use of word akhi suggested to incline towards the murderer, with leniency and with mercy in your heart. In spite of his crime, the perpetrator remains your brother as a human. It is suggested that if forgiveness overcomes the vengeance, that I want to take revenge. If forgiveness overcomes the vengeance, it will be highly rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even in our daily affairs, if you are angry at somebody or something, and you want to punish the person, if you forgive the person, it's better. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam encouraged us to be merciful as we expect mercy from Allah. So we have to be merciful with people, those who are around us. Keeping human nature and how people deal with trauma, Islam encourages relatives of the victim to forego the life for life and look at the other options, such as take blood money and forgive. The killer may also choose between paying the blood money or offering himself for life. He can choose that. We need to move on. We have about 7 minutes. They agreed to the blood money. If they agreed to the blood money and one tribe lost more people, because what happened, there was a fight between two tribes, and they both came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they said that if we lose a woman, we want 2 men from the other tribe to be life for retribution. We want 2 men for every woman. The other tribe said, for every man we want 2 women from your tribe. So when they came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that retribution is equal. That you cannot do qisas. For 1 murder you take 2 people, or for 2 murder you take 1 person. If 1 person have killed 2 people, then that 1 person is definitely done, you know. But if 2 people are killed, then you cannot go out and bomb the whole village. They agreed to, this is what we are practicing all over the world, and in different names. Wallahi ladhim, in different names. That this is a promised land. Promised land what? Promised land, if you are so much in line with the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with any divine book which is not being changed by human intervention. And if you are following that divine book, it does not tell you to go out and kill the whole tribe. No book says that, to do that. Then the next part of the ayah is ذَلِكَ تَخْفِيفٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ وَرَحْمَةٌ فَمَنِ اعْتَدَى بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ فَلَهُ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. Takhfif means the ease of settlement. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided you the opportunity that instead of taking life for a life, if you take money, that's a takhfif min Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you forgive, that's another takhfif from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's a mercy of Allah towards you. The scholars say that Allah did not give the option of accepting blood money or even forgiving the perpetrator to the nations before us. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that whoever transgress after that will have a painful punishment, that mutually agreed option is the final settlement. If they both sides, murderer and in the presence of the judge and the dependents of the victim, if they agreed on a settlement, then that is the final settlement. That is the final settlement. The portion of the ayah refers to those that who, after accepting the blood money and forgiving the killer, is still go. Oh, mashallah, in Afghanistan, okay, in some of the Arab countries, if there is a feud in Pakistan, in Turkey, in different villages, if there is a feud between 2 villages, it does not end until and unless everybody is wiped out from both sides. It continues for 200-300 years. It's still go and they take the money, they take the compensation and everything else, and nobody gets involved. They just get the bigger people of the area, and they decide that that's what would happen. Allah decides something else. The leader decides something else. Sayyidina Al-Hasan radiyallahu anhu said, in the time of Jahiliyyah, when somebody killed a person and would run to his own people, and the dependents of the murder victim would come and negotiate the blood money, the dependent would take the blood money as a settlement, but then send some other people to kill the guy who caused the murder. Who murdered someone, they killed somebody else to go murder him, but they take the money from the other side. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explained it, that if these options are chosen, then there is no going back. You honor your word. You honor your word and do what you have said. ذَلِكَ تَخْفِيفٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. That you have to, فَمَنِ اعْتَدَى بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ. And the one who transgress the settlement agreement and go against what he said he would do and still continue the vengeance, then that's the one who is going to be punished severely by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ذَلِكَ فَمَنْ اعْتَدَى بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ فَلَهُ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I just want to elaborate on one thing. اعتدى. What is the meaning of اعتدى? فَمَنْ اعْتَدى. اعتدى means excess, violation, and transgression, crossing somebody else's limit. You gave your word to somebody, you have to follow it. And you cannot go back to it. You cannot go back to the same thing. And the violation can be three. There are three things that have to be transgression. They are called transgression and violation. The number one is the dependent of the victim taking the blood money but still try to go after hurting or killing other people of that tribe. That's number one. That's violation. The murder of his relatives delay the murderer's relative. Somebody who killed somebody, his relative delay the agreement and don't pay. And they just keep telling him that, you made the agreement that you will accept the blood money. And they don't pay him. That is a فَمَنْ اعْتَدَى بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ فَلَهُ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. And the third one is the murderer, even after receiving the forgiveness. If he receives forgiveness and he is not thankful, that is اعتدى. That is اعتدى. فَمَنْ اعْتَدَى بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ فَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. Inshallah, we will very quickly cover the next ayah, and where it says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and there is a saving of life for you in legal retribution, O you people of understanding, that you may become righteous. وَلَكُمْ فِي الْقِصَاصِ حَيَاتٌ يَا أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. And if the relatives went for life, the killer is obliged to submit to the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He should say, okay, I did it. And the dependents, they said they want life. Then he has no choice in the matter. He has to. We must understand the purpose of all divine revelation. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about these things. Some people can say this is between people. Why Allah is getting involved in it? Well, He is getting involved in it because it is part of His obligation, which He takes upon Himself as an obligation, to remove the ignorance and arrogance and establish the limits in beliefs and in practices, and establish order in every society. That's why Allah put these limits. This ayah challenges and refutes the ignorance ingrained in the minds of ignorant people then and now. We are finishing, don't worry. A society which gives higher value to lives, gives a higher value to lives of those who disregard the life of others. There are people who would say that, we don't believe in these kind of punishment. They are too harsh. Well, what about the victim's rights? You took his life. So the society which gives higher value to the lives of those who disregard the life of others empowers more murders, more people to kill, and the vicious cycle continues. The last thing which I have to address, I'm just moving fast. An-Nisai reported from Sayyidina Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anh that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, once while the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was distributing something to people, a man came over Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he was very, very close. He was kind of falling over Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam in one of his hands have a stick, his walking stick, and he pushed the guy, not from the tip of the stick, from the side of the stick, and the guy said, ah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, you can take your equal retribution, and gave him his stick, and he says, you can do the same to me as I did to you, which will cause you pain. This is Muhammad al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and that was Islam, which we don't know about. Abu Dawud reported, says Sayyidina Umar was giving a speech in which he said that whoever is wronged by any person of authority should present that case to me today or any time after today, and I will take the retaliation from the one who has hurt you. A person stood up and said, "O leader of the believer, Ya Amirul Mu'mineen, if one of your closer relatives or your disciples who you gave authority and he does something wrong, then what would you do? Would you punish him too?" He says, "Why not? What would stop me from punishing my my disciples or people, those who are with me? What would stop me from punishing that when I was there when Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam pushed a guy with his stick, and the guy, when he protested, kind of a sound came out of his mouth. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him a stick and he said, you can take retribution from me. You can push me the same way I pushed you." So he said, when Muhammad did it, what would stop me from correcting people under me? Today, in Muslim countries, people, those who are, if the guy on the top, if, it's a very big if the guy on top is good, those who are under him are shayateen. And they wreaking havoc, and the people are scared of the people of authority in Muslim countries. And that is wa'ayadu billah, because the disobedience leads to other type of, this is the basic law of Islam, that the disobedience leads to other disobedience, and obedience of Allah leads to more obedience of Allah. أقول قولي هذا واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. Inshallah, we will make dua, and next week, same place, same time. And this program has been going on for about 3 years, and today we have reached ayah number 179 of Surah Al-Baqarah. Please bear with me. It takes time to do these things. And if you get a chance to go to YouTube, you can subscribe to my channel on YouTube also. There are 85 videos, and there are about 80 more videos to be posted, but I don't find time to do that, but someday I will, inshallah. Allahumma rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhab an-nar wa qina adhab al-qabri wa qina adhab al-hashri wa qina adhab jahannama wa adkhilna al-jannata ma'al abrar birahmatika ya azizu ya ghaffar ya rabbal alamin. Allahumma inna nas'aluka imanan kamilan wa yaqinan sadiqan wa rizqan wasi'an wa qalban khashiyan ولسانا ذاكرا وحلالا طيبا وتوبة نسوها وتوبة قبل الموت وراحة عند الموت والمغفرة عند الحساب والفوز بالجنة والنجاة من النار برحمتك يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين برحمتك يا مولانا يا أرحم الراحمين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. والفاتحة. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Thank you for joining us. Inshallah, looking forward to see you next week, same time, same place. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.